Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Hello and welcome to ALA Social Responsibilities Roundtable's 5th Annual Afternoon of Social Justice Symposium. This free and virtual event features librarians and other scholars as they present on a variety of social justice topics. My name is Derek Wilmot, and I'm your host for this session and the co-chair of the SRRT Programming Committee, as well as the Roundtable's incoming treasurer. We have 3 outstanding programs for you today, beginning with a panel discussion on community jail libraries in the Philippines, followed by a presentation on the support for library workers seeking accommodations and patrons experiencing homelessness, and ending with a film viewing and a Q&A for the documentary Breaking the News. Please be aware that we are recording these sessions, except for the film viewing of Breaking the News later in this series. The recordings will be available for free in about a month on the SRRT website. After each session, the Zoom room you are in will end. If you have registered for multiple afternoon or social justice sessions, then you should have received a link to each one. Don't worry if you do not have the link, or if you would like to register for other sessions and have not done so yet, then I'm going to put a link in here that you can to register for the session you are interested in attending. You should then receive an email with the Zoom link in that room. I have the honor of introducing today's first speakers. Before, I would like to say that programs such as this are free for attendees, but they are a cost to ALA and SRRT. If you're interested in supporting SRRT and our work, then please consider donating at the link provided or becoming a member of SRRT. You can specify your donation by roundtable and even make it a general gift, or select the SRRT task force or award that you would like to support with a direct contribution. We could not do great programming and the work like this as a roundtable without your support, so thank you. Now, I would like to introduce our speakers for this session. We have with us today from the Philippines, Stephen Biaco Alion, an associate professor at the College of Information and Communications Technology, West Visayas State University in Iloilo City. Annalyn Quetzalariano Bocal is a librarian at Iloilo Science and Technology University at the Dumangas campus. Rosalind Copalo is the technical librarian at the John B. Laxon Colleges Foundation and Bacolod, Inc. Maria Cecilia Deliarte Baldevano, school library staff at St. John's Institute, North Point Campus, Talisay City, Negros Occidental. Today's session is 45 minutes in length, with a question and answer session at the end. It is titled Community Jail Library, Promoting Equitable Access, Literacy, Inclusivity, Nationalism, and Hope. And in the Philippines, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology serves detainees accused before a court who are temporarily confined while undergoing investigation, awaiting final judgment, or serving a sentence promulgated by the court of less than 3 years. In line with BJMP's functions to administer and provide for the basic needs of persons deprived of liberty, to conduct activities for PDLs development, and to improve jail facilities, a group of librarians and paraprofessionals surveyed more than 1,000 PDL in 7 jail facilities to understand their information needs while inside, to prepare them for life after incarceration. As a result, a jail library dubbed NcelLIBEration Community Jail Library, NcelLIBER Freedom Books Nation, was established at each facility. This presentation will discuss the experiences, challenges, and practical approaches to sustain the program as compared to U.S. prison libraries. So we ask that you enter your questions in Zoom's Q&A feature, and that comments in a chat focus on this topic in the session. If you need to ask the question over Zoom and cannot enter it into the Q&A, please wait until the end of the presentation, raise your virtual hand using the Zoom feature, and we will ask you to unmute to ask your question. Please limit your questions to under 2 minutes to give others an opportunity. So now, let us welcome our speakers, and I will now turn this over to them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We're presenting this morning to you our project NcelLIBEration Community Jail Library, promoting equitable access, literacy, inclusivity, nationalism, and hope. Together with me are Cecil, Anne, and Rosaline.
In the Philippines, by virtue of the Department of Interior and Local Government Act of 1990, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology was created to address growing concern of jail management and penology problem. BJMP is mandated to direct, supervise, and control the administration and operation of all district, city, and municipal jails nationwide. The BJMP serves the detainees accused before a court who are temporarily confined, those who are serving a sentence of 3 years and below. The mantra of the BJMP is changing lives, building a safer nation. In line with BJMP's function to administer and provide for the basic needs of persons deprived of liberty or PDL, to conduct activities for the development of PDL, and to improve jail facilities. In the Philippines, persons deprived of liberty or PDL is referred to as a detainee, inmate or prisoner, or other person under confinement or custody in any other manner in order to prevent labeling, branding, or shaming based on revised IRR of Republic Act 10575. The following slides contains graphic content which some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. The roots of the gap. The intense drug war campaign of the previous administration resulted in overcrowding, severe congestion among rehabilitation
mahinarya o ang tagabantay ng kaayusan sa selda.
Game. Umupo na doon, yung mga uupo.
Umabot po sa ganitong
and killings. PDEA reported that more than 6,200 drug suspects have died in the operations from June 2016 until November 2021. In October 2016, it was reported that all 16 jails in Western Visayas are congested, according to the BJMP, with a congestion rate of 405%, with most of the inmates facing illegal drug charges. In most countries around the world, the majority of individuals who make up the prison and jail populations have limited educational and life skills. Reading was not a frequent or popular pursuit. They have low literacy and insufficient employability skills. Only a few have been regular users of public or academic libraries during their lives on the outside. UNESCO published and highlighted the transformative potential of prison libraries. If we quote Nelson Mandela, it is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. The UN General Assembly resolution adopts 175 or the revised UN standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Rule 14 requires the facilities to have windows and artificial lights for the prisoners to read and work. Rule 554 states that upon admission, every prisoner shall be promptly provided with written information about his or her rights, including authorized methods of seeking information. Rule 55, number 1, the information referred shall be available in the most commonly used languages. Rule 63, prisoners shall be kept informed regularly of the more important items of news by the reading of newspapers, periodicals, or special institutional publications, by hearing wireless transmissions, by lectures, or by any similar means as authorized or controlled by the prison administration. The International Federation of Library Association and Institutions, or IFLA, published the Guidelines for Library Services to Prisoners, third edition in 2005 and the fourth edition in 2023. The Charter for the Reader in 1994 emphasized that the reading is a universal right. The IFLA or UNESCO Public Library Manifesto calls for public libraries to serve prisoners. It recommends that the prison library should function with the same professional standards, managed by a professional librarian, meet the interests and needs of culturally diverse population, and provide open access and a range of literacy and reading-related activities. Prison libraries should have collection of materials that meet the education, recreation, and rehabilitation needs. Currently, the Philippines has 10,709 licensed librarians in the country. Only a few universities, more than 60, offer the Bachelor of Library and Information Science or BLIS, and a few students enroll in the program.
Factors associated with the information needs of persons deprived of liberty or PDL. A survey was conducted to PDLs in Region 6 BJMP jail facility in 2017. A pilot study was conducted in the province of Guimaras. The questionnaire was finalized and administered in Mambusao District Jail. A group of librarians and paraprofessionals proposed a little way of helping in the management and rehabilitation of PDL. Figure 1 presents a way of thinking of the field user studies. The figure suggests that information-seeking behavior results from the recognition of some needs perceived by the user. This is the enhanced version of the figure. That behavior may take several forms. For example, the user may take demands upon formal systems that customarily defined as information systems, such as libraries. This study is also anchored in Charles Cole's information need. He argues that information need is one of the things that make us truly human. The figure shows the general model of information behavior, which this study is anchored with the intervening variables. At the root of the problem of information-seeking behavior is the concept of information need. Following Taylor's information need, pre-negotiation decisions by the inquirer, for example, an inmate with particular information need. At decision point A, the inmate decides whether to discuss his problem with other inmates, jail guards, family, or visitors, or to go to whatever literature or library may be available. Then he has analyzed his inadequacy sufficiently to be able even to look through his own files or materials or resources. He also makes a second decision, B, to go to the library. So this is the important choice and reflects a number of factors such as previous experience, environment, and ease of access. At decision point C, in the absence of a librarian or information specialist, he can help himself to answer his information needs. The added value of an information system, the library, is to signal to the user data that have potential value to this user's information need. The life in the round theory describes when the inmates stay within and when they cross the barriers to outside information. The activating mechanism of information behavior can be understood as a consideration of motivation. There were cases of women inmates who refused to listen to information about life outside. According to Campbell, prisoners are perfect examples of people under extreme stress. Two common coping mechanisms are information seeking to reduce the uncertainty that is causing the stress, information avoidance to try to escape the situation by denial. The independent variables or the factors or the demographic profile, such as age, sex, civil status, educational attainment, and occupation before. The intervening variables are previous information-seeking behavior in the terms of library experience and number of hours spent reading. And dependent variables are information needs in terms of preferred language, type, subject, and topic. So here are the objectives and corresponding hypotheses. So the research design, so this study used the descriptive correlational method of research. So the participants of the study are the persons deprived of liberty in a selected district jail in Western Visayas, there were a total of 105 PDL, but only 95 voluntarily participated in the survey. However, out of 95 retrieved questionnaires, only 92 were considered valid and had complete data. So the total sample is 92 PDLs. A researcher-made questionnaire was used to gather data in this study. The questionnaire was written in English and translated to Hiligaynon. So it was divided into 3 parts. So table 1 shows the distribution of respondents according to their personal profile in terms of age, sex, civil status, and so the data revealed that less than half of the respondents were 31 to 43 years of age. The majority, or 91.3%, were males. More than half of the respondents were single. 36% were at high school level, and 34% were out of school or elementary level only. Almost 2/3 of them had labor or blue-collar jobs, and nearly a quarter, 24%, had no job. Table 2 shows that more than 1/3 of the respondents have library experience. For respondents' previous information-seeking behavior in terms of hours they spent reading before they were confined in jail, 30% don't spend time reading. Figure 2 shows the distribution of respondents' information needs in terms of language. So the majority of the respondents preferred Filipino or Tagalog. More than half preferred Hiligaynon or Ilonggo English. So figure 3 shows the distribution of respondents' information needs in terms of type. So the top 5 most preferred type were CD or DVD, followed by books, dictionaries, newspapers, and magazines. And the least preferred types are directories and databases. So figure 4 shows that more than half of the respondents preferred all subject areas. However, the top 4 most preferred information needs of the respondents in terms of subject area are music, health, science and technology, Filipino, and mother tongue or the dialect. Figure 5 shows the respondents' information needs in terms of topic. So the top 7 most preferred topics were legal or law, followed by livelihood, religion, educational, academic, news and current affairs, love stories, and recreational sports. And the top 3 least preferred information needs are fiction, horror, politics, and showbiz. So for conclusions, Filipino Tagalog is the most preferred language of the materials to read by PDL. CD, DVD, books, dictionaries, newspapers, magazines were the most preferred material types by PDL. Music, health, science, and technology, and Filipino mother tongue or dialect were the most preferred subjects by PDL. Legal, law, livelihood, educational, religion, news and current affairs, love stories, and recreational sports were the most preferred topics by PDL. For the recommendations, BJMP with the assistance of librarians should formulate and implement a collection development plan to provide the most preferred information needs based on types, language, topic, and subject area of the PDL. The result of the study could be a basis for formulating the said plan. So for the other results in discussion, I will be presenting only some significant findings. So this table, there is no significant relationship between the respondent's sex and previous information-seeking behavior in terms of library experience and number of hours spent in reading. So for the conclusion, age and previous library experience are not independent. Age and number of hours reading are independent. Sex and previous library experience are independent. Sex and number of hours reading are independent. Civil status and previous library experience are not independent. Civil status and number of hours reading are independent. Educational attainment and previous library experience are not independent. educational attainment and number of hours reading are independent, occupation before and previous library experience are independent, occupation before and number of hours reading are independent. So BJMP should consider establishing a special library in jail, should consider factors such as age, civil status, educational attainment with previous library experience, offer library orientation and instruction, particularly to those who have no previous library experience, to help prepare the PDLs for their life after incarceration. So table 8 shows the relationship between respondents' previous information-seeking behavior and information needs. So for the conclusion, PDLs with previous library experiences prefers to read information sources written in English language. Most of the PDLs with previous library experience prefers ebooks and newspapers. However, PDLs with no library experience prefers almanac. PDLs with library experience prefers fiction or fiction horror. However, it was least preferred by PDLs with no library experience. PDLs who spent more time in reading prefers to read fiction, horror, and showbiz. So English language and previous library experience are not independent. Ebooks and previous library experience are independent. Newspapers and previous library experience are not independent. Fiction, horror, topic, and previous library experience are not independent. Showbiz, topic, and previous library experience are not independent. So BJMP should consider establishing a special library in jail. The following library resources should also be made available for library: books written in English language, ebooks, newspapers, fiction, horror, showbiz. So for the subject area, there is no significant relationship between PDL sex and information needs in terms of subject areas such as mathematics, science and technology, social studies, history, music, English and literature, Filipino mother tongue, dialect, culinary and arts, and health. On the other hand, there is a significant relationship between their sex and information needs in terms of two subject areas: the physical education, sports. So for the topic, there is no significant relationship between PDL sex and information needs in terms of topics, such as. For the conclusion, younger or older PDLs prefer to read information sources written in Filipino or Tagalog language. The older the PDL, the more that they least prefer to use read ebooks. However, younger PDLs are likely interested to read and use manuals and guidebooks. Younger PDLs prefers to read fiction horror. On the other hand, older ones were less interested. PDLs, regardless of age, are likely interested on recreational and sports topics for leisure reading. So PDLs, regardless of sex, are likely interested to use and watch informational videos on CDs and DVDs. However, males are more interested than females. Male PDLs are more likely interested and enjoy physical education, sports subject than females, where they will learn and play sports.
Morning again. I'll be presenting to you the results of the survey in other jails after that master's thesis of Annalyn. So we continued the study and we included, we investigated further the factors associated with the information needs of the PDLs, and we included even the problems encountered inside their coping mechanism and their interest of reading, reading books. So for our respondents in that, Annalyn shared to you the jail 1 results, and I'm going to share to you a few results of the jail 2 to 7 initial results for further analysis. So we have a subtotal of 1,125 inmates for the total respondents. So 15% of that respondents are female, and 84.7 composed of male. In terms of preferred format, the respondents prefer both. Majority preferred both, 448, Also on print is 406 and electronic and digital is 271. However, please be informed that there were problems with the interpretation of especially for males of the term electronic, as it refers to the electronics related to the um, um, refers to like radio, like appliance gadgets and appliances. In terms of language, we found out that Filipino, Tagalog, and Hiligaynon, our local dialect, and Ilonggo are preferred choices of language, including English. There are a few, because this is a regional language, there are a few who speaks also Kinaray and express their interest to have that language. In terms of type, we found out that books, dictionaries, CDs and DVDs, newspapers, and magazines were the preferred information sources by type. In terms of subject, music, health, mathematics, science and technology, and Filipino and mother tongue are still the top 5 source subjects that are preferred by our PDLs. In terms of topic, they prefer educational, academic, legal and law, livelihood, and religion, and including news and current affairs. And in terms of fiction, they prefer love story. So I'll be sharing to you some preliminary results when we analyze for example, we compare the two jails, the first study and the bigger study. So we found out that there's a relationship between sex and the language choice of Hiligaynon, Ilonggo, and Kinaraya. Also, in terms of type, there's a significant relationship between ebooks, encyclopedias, databases, CDs and DVDs, fiction materials for the bigger jails, as most male prefer CDs and DVDs. For fiction materials, the female express interest in Filipino or Tagalog pocketbooks and particularly on love stories. While in that study of Annalyn, it's only the CD and DVD. For the subject area, we found that there's a significant relationship between sex and science and technology as a subject area. Music is preferred by males also, Filipino and mother tongue and dialect. And lastly, physical education or sports was preferred by males. And in terms of topic, we found that recreational sports and religion, the recreational sports was higher for males and for religion also. For the qualitative data, I'll give the floor to Rosalie.
Okay. During the interview, the follow-up visit, some PDL expressed specific requests for the following: dictionaries, Webster's, Filipino English, Hiligaynon, English, and Scrabble. Why have games in the libraries? So the board games, Scrabbles, and chess were highly requested by the PDLs. The Math, Boggle, World Factory, Bananagrams, Sudoku, and the Salpakan, the games of the general, a Filipino-invented board games, were introduced and donated. So we were donated those board games and introduced to the PDLs. After the several follow-up visits were conducted, Almanac, the legends, Bugtung, riddles, Saliwikain, proverb, were acquired and donated. We also tried asking riddles during our visits. Other important Filipino literary classics such as Florante at Laura, Ibong Adarna, Noli Me Tangere, and El Filibusterismo were donated. Hiligaynon and Liwayway magazines that contain serialized comics and novels, short stories, and essays were always made available to address the needs of the mother tongue contents for PDL who are enrolled in alternative learning systems or ALS programs of the Philippines. Hiligaynon novels short stories, and essays written by Ilonggo writers were also made available. These are the sample or the posts of the jail, which inform us that they have graduated several students by the help of our donated learning materials to their libraries. So for the other expressed specific request of the PDL, the revised penal code of dangerous act, which is they state that for us to know about our cases. So these are the examples of the donated books about law in the jail. And also the livelihood books such as handicraft, cookery, tailoring, leathercraft, woodworks, aquaculture, and farmer manuals, and carpentry magazines were provided. Some livelihood products made by the PDL. So these are the examples of the products made by the PDLs with the use of our donated books. So they also expressed their interest to have a library and excited of the proposal to have one. So for their comments during their the survey, hope the proposed library inside the BJMP will be approved. I want to have a library so that we have something to read to avoid thinking about our cases. I like to have a library inside. And also, I am very thankful for your proposal. We are hoping that your proposal will be approved and it could help us to lessen our loneliness inside the jail. So these are the example of an existing library with some unutilized books on the BGMPs. So mostly with English novels and literary, how some express little interest. This is an example of curated and improved library collections as part of the program. So these are the some photos during the donations of charts, books, and magazines. Board games and Filipino, Tagalog, Hiligaynon magazines. Some elementary textbooks and basic charts as Philippine national heroes, maps, presidents, among others. Some donors and sponsors were tapped using the social media. So these are the examples of the screenshots from the post. So we tap donors and sponsors from various organizations, schools, volunteers, groups, and individuals for the library materials, shelves, and financial support to acquire books and board games. So these are the pictures during the organizations of the library materials in some of the PDL libraries. So we also have the program of mentoring the inmates to how to access the materials, how to organize the materials, and how they can record the donated books to their libraries. So these are the examples of the accession books. So we provided them the materials, the stamps, so that the ownership of the books will be belong to the libraries. These are the some of the sample books that we donated. And also, we also have practice or give an example to the inmates on how they can manage the books. For example, this PDL is borrowing the books and the other PDL is logging the borrowed materials by some of the PDLs. So these are the examples of the log sheet or utilization of the books borrowed by the inmates that we gathered upon revisiting the libraries. So as you can see, we started from the 2018, and then the library was active during before the pandemic. So as you can see during but the previous months, for the borrowing or the utilization was declined. So these are the examples. And also, there is also a board game utilization. So we donated board games and the in charge also used a logbook for that.
So we named our library as NcelLIBEration Community Jail Library. So cell means jail, Liber means freedom, and also liber means books. And the N, the first letter, and the Asian after the celebration means nation. So we dub it as NcelLIBEration, and we posted in social media to call for donations of books. So the objectives of the jail library is to help the reformation process for PDL to become law-abiding and productive citizens, to explore how books and reading can aid their rehabilitation and reformation, and serve as therapy among PDL. So these are our revisit to that library and donation of some livelihood books, Tagalog pocket books, or fictions on love stories, which are preferred by female PDLs. And when I proposed this to the university as an extension program as their corporate social responsibility, it is to develop the capacity of jail officers and volunteer inmates. Also, it aims to facilitate the formulation of each library policies, management, and organization of reading materials, borrowing and returning systems to ensure equitable access and sustainability. And also, we plan to conduct information literacy program, storytelling, gamings for PDLs and their families. So this is our picture for another visit to the female dorm. And in terms of sustainability, inclusivity, and hope, the library aims to provide collections and services that are inclusive, functional, and transformational. And also, we will involve the PDL and jail officers during the process of setting up and in organizing the library. So this is on one of the male dorms, and we tapped different partners. So we listed the different possible partners: the National Library of the Philippines, particularly the Iloilo City and the Iloilo Provincial Library, the Philippine Librarians Association, which the three of us are members, various academic schools, public and special libraries, the Department of Education for the alternative learning system, and our university also. There are other sponsoring organization that collects books and donate books. Also, we will tap in donors and sponsor for various organizations and schools and volunteer groups. So these are examples, the books for books. So they posted in these are reading book clubs in Iloilo City during the pandemic. So they answered for our call for donation. So they donated some books during the pandemic, and we will be able to donate that after the pandemic. So also we try to collect children's book as some family members visit the facility with their children. So there's an author also who donated, Ilonggo or Hiligaynon author who donated the storybook written in Hiligaynon. So the results of the survey and the documentation of the process of establishing the jail library can be used as a basis for establishing a standard or policy for jail libraries in the country. For the proposed extension program, currently in 2022, 23, the BJMP released the guidelines in the establishment and operation of jail libraries and access to jail library services of PDLs. So it is clear that they have the minimum qualification, duties, and responsibilities of the library staff. However, it was not mentioned that the licensed librarian should be manning only a graduate of Bachelor of Library Science or in education. Also, it is specific that there's logbook for the library orientation seminars, for reading activities, and other outreach services conducted in the jail facilities. Also, they partnered with the National Library of the Philippines and integrated the reading in rehab programs for PDLs. And initially, there are 13 jails. And this is the proposed collection. Very generic, legal for 20%, vocational sources for 30%, or livelihood 30%, fiction and nonfiction 40%, children's books 10% for family visitors. So I conducted the SWOT analysis, and the strength is that there's a mandated establishment of libraries, there's a reiteration memo, and there's management commitment to establish jail libraries. However, the weaknesses are there's no budget for shelves, for books, the turnaround rates also of jail wardens and officers, and the rates also of the turnaround rates for PDLs and the available space. For the opportunities, there are a lot of book donors and sponsors and volunteer groups, but the threats are includes the disasters and also the jailbreak. For the interventions, the United Nations Office of the Drug and Crimes, they have a memorandum of agreement with the BJMP and the NLP, and they named it as Read Your Way Out Project, or RYWO, or Magbasa Tungo sa Paglaya. So they conducted several trainings for jail officers and orientation on the basic administration of libraries. And however, they have limited resources to train all jail staff. So we recommended that we will conduct the extension program. But first, we have to conduct FGD questions for jail libraries related to library management, related to their capacity, and the challenges that they encountered in managing the jail library, and in measuring the impact also of the jail facilities, of the jail library. Okay, so that's all for our presentation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Steve, and everyone there that's presented with you this evening, early morning for all of you. We really appreciate you sharing all of this with us, and I'm sure there's probably several questions. I know that we're quickly running out of time, so according to what I have for the time that we have on here. So what I'd like to do, instead of me asking several questions, there might be some burning questions out there that you might be able to entertain. I'll open the floor, and let me check and see what's in the Q&A if anybody hasn't already done it on our committee. If you have not put any questions in there, please feel free to do so, or raise your virtual hand and I'll try to call on you, and you can unmute to ask your question directly. And I'll just give a moment or two. Okay, and some of these questions may seem rather basic. That's a tremendous amount of work to all that all of you have done over there. I'm really impressed, to say the least, and somewhat odd. It's clear from what I saw in the and maybe to all of us, that the shared media that you had showed that the jails and prisons are extremely overcrowded. How difficult was it? And this has to do with the instrument, with your survey instrument. How difficult was it to administer the survey to the populations that you wanted to survey there? And I'll start that off as a question.
Thank you. Yeah, at first we thought that it's easier because they are contained in one place. However, on the beginning of our survey, there were challenges as because of the drug war campaign. It started with a list in a community, and they never thought of that as the drug watch list. So when we conducted the survey, they were hesitant to answer because it might be another list to be included in the drug watch list, and they might be included in the in that drug list, or even killings for that. The good thing is we request permission from the regional directors and the jail wardens for the approval, and they also accommodated us and provided security also when we conducted the survey. And the three girls here did the interview, and they helped those with low literacy, for those who haven't been to school, because we don't want them to be excluded in the survey. So we tried our best to accommodate them by translating the English questionnaire to the local dialect, and we even explained to them and assisted orally to answer the survey.
So we do have a couple of questions in the chat there, and I'll start with the first one. Who can we contact for donations from the United States and other countries? If that's possible.
Yeah, to be honest, even that's our challenge. Even in Manila, we're in the western part of the Central West Philippines. We even have donors from Manila, but our problem is that we don't have a fund for shipping the materials. For the US, it's actually easier because we have that, we call it balikbayan box. Like we fill like a 1 meter by a 1 meter cube box. You can fill it with books, and actually it only costs $100 or $105 to ship it to our location. That's for the whole box. One box costs $100.
US
So
dollars?
yeah,
Would that be US dollars? Okay. 100 US dollars, or is that,
for one box, yeah,
right, okay, for one box. Thank you.
1 meter, yeah, 1 cubic meter box.
And along that same question there's a follow-up on that. Are there international organizations that can facilitate these and cover the shipping costs? And I'd like to add on to that, if you would like to send us anything along that line, that information, I'll see if we can put that up on the SRRT webpage as well for this particular program here, for the Afternoon of Social Justice. So if anybody wants to follow up with it, they can see it on there.
Thank you.
Or I'll ask if I can do it. Let's see.
Yeah,
We'll go that route.
Asia Foundation, the international organizations like Asia Foundation and the Read, something that's for children. They do some international donations. They accept book donations for
Okay. And I'm gonna switch gears here. I don't see any other questions at the moment from either the chat or the Q&A. So one of my questions is, and this again goes back to the survey results and everything. Was there anything unexpected discovered with the results of the survey that you didn't mention earlier, or that you could share with us?
yeah, there's a lot of data that we have gathered. Actually, we haven't shared the results of like the problems encountered, like if they miss their families, if they are they thinking about their situation, are they thinking about their case, are they experiencing psychological or psychiatric symptoms inside. And we found some interesting results on that. We look at also their coping mechanism, and one is on reading books. So we haven't showed you the full results, as we haven't analyzed yet all the data that we have gathered. And I hope we'll be able to publish this one and present also the other results.
So I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to just point out that if anybody, would we be able to send you questions that we didn't cover this at this session here, that people might have? And
Yeah, I can share my email address, and they can send also their questions in.
okay, that would be fantastic. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and wind things down because it's getting fairly close here. I would like to thank everyone. I thank our presenters actually today, and to all of you who have asked questions and attended the session. We hope you will continue our journey with us through an afternoon of social justice. Please note that there will be about a 10-minute, at this point 9-minute intermission before our next session, Libraries, Librarianship, and Support for Workers Seeking Accommodations, How to Build More Equitable, Accessible, and Inclusive Practices for All. This session begins at 12 p.m. Central Time in the United States. This concludes our session, and this Zoom room will end in the next few minutes. So thank you very much. And again, thank you all. Yeah, this was a very, very insightful. There's a lot that you unpacked for us. I think there was a lot of people that really appreciated what you had to say today. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I know what time is it over there? For your time, it's like after midnight.
Yeah, it's after me. It's almost 1 a.m.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah. So you feel free to sign out then and or to join us at any of the other events, but I know you need your rest. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. It was a pleasure to meet all of you.
Bye.
Bye.